MotoGP 2025 may not be halfway through the season yet, but the atmosphere in the paddock is already heating up. One of the triggers was a surprising statement from Pedro Acosta, a sensational young rider from the Red Bull KTM team, who openly responded to the internal dynamics of the Ducati factory team, now strengthened by two big names, Marc Marquez and Francesco Pecco Bagnaia. What questions did Pedro Acosta ask? Let's discuss. Ducati course, known for years as a manufacturer that prioritizes the development of internal talent such as Bagnaia, Enea Bastianini and Jorge Martin, made a big move this season by recruiting Marc Marquez from Gresini Racing. The decision immediately sparked controversy, especially as Ducati now have two World Championship caliber riders in one garage. For Acosta, however, the combination of big stars is no guarantee of success. We can't just hand the crown to the king. A season is a long time, said Acosta in an interview with Speedweek. A lot of people call them the dream team. But in life there is no such thing as a dream team. You can't have two number ones in one box. Acosta's statement was not only a criticism, but also a sharp warning of what could be a major problem for Ducati, a battle of egos and dominance within the team itself. The internal dynamics of the Ducati factory team are currently in the spotlight at the start of the 2025 MotoGP season. Two big names now occupy the same garage, Marc Marquez, the 8-time world champion who recently joined Ducati, and Francesco Bagnaia, the reigning champion for the last 2 seasons. The battle between the two is not only about speed on the track, but also about prestige, strategy and influence within the team. Marc Marquez started the 2025 season in exceptional form. He showed that he has not lost his magic touch by winning 5 races in a row, including stunning performances at Portimao and Jerez. His aggressive yet controlled approach has many observers calling him a strong contender for the title, even before the season really heats up. However, drama ensued at the Grand Prix of the Americas when Marquez, who was leading by a comfortable margin, crashed unexpectedly. The incident not only ruined his chances of a 6th consecutive victory, but also opened up a gap for his closest rival, his own teammate, Bagnaia. Bagnaia, who had struggled to find his rhythm in the first 5 rounds, immediately took advantage of the situation. He rode calmly and consistently throughout the rest of the race, finally taking his first win of the season on a track that was very friendly to him. For Bagnaia, this was not only about scoring maximum points, but also about sending a strong message that he was not ready to relinquish his status as Ducati's leader. But the irony came at the end of the race. Although Marquez and Bagnaia took turns winning, neither left Texas as temporary championship leaders. The title was won instead by someone who had been under the radar, Alex Marquez, Marc's younger brother, who rides for satellite team Gresini Racing this season. With a string of impressive results in the form of consistent second-place finishes, Alex Marquez now leads the standings thanks to his consistent performance and meticulousness in avoiding mistakes. He may not have won a race this season, but his consistency has given him a huge advantage in the title chase. The atmosphere in the Ducati paddock is one of veiled tension ahead of this weekend's MotoGP of Qatar. Marquez is undoubtedly keen to step up and return to the top of the standings, while Bagnaia is keen not to be seen as a shadow of his new teammate. On the other hand, Alex Marquez is now the dark horse who has quietly taken control of the competition. One thing is for sure, the battle for the 2025 MotoGP throne has only just begun, and everything could change in just one corner. Pedro Acosta, one of the brightest young riders in MotoGP today, enters a new chapter in his career with the KTM team. While the dynamics he faces at his new team are similar to those at Ducati, which is currently boosted by the presence of 2 top riders, Francesco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, the challenges Acosta faces are of a different dimension. Acosta joins a KTM team that has been built up over a long period of time, with Brad Binder at the helm. Binder is not only the most experienced rider, but also a figure who has been at the center of KTM's motorcycle development in recent years. This means that Acosta will have to adapt not only to the bike and the team, but also to an ecosystem that already has a fairly well-established hierarchy. However, there is one fundamental difference that makes Acosta and KTM's situation not quite the same as the drama that has begun to unfold at Ducati. KTM has been unable to match Ducati's dominance in terms of performance. Their bikes have not reached the level of consistency and speed needed to regularly challenge the Italian manufacturer at the top of the standings. Therefore, the main focus for KTM and Acosta at the moment is not how to manage internal rivalries, as might happen at Ducati, but rather how to reduce the performance gap with the strongest manufacturer on the grid. In this context, Acosta's statement about two number one riders in one team is very interesting. Although the sentence sounds neutral, it seems to imply a critical view of the situation that is developing in the Ducati team. With two star riders in one garage, Acosta seems to be warning of the potential conflict that could arise from such a dynamic. Instead of pushing each other towards joint achievements, two kings in one palace risk creating tensions that could damage the stability of the team as a whole. This statement also reflects Acosta's maturity in reading the competitive landscape in Motogp. At his young age, he seems to understand that teamwork and internal cohesion are just as important as speed on the track. In the long run, perhaps KTM's more gradual approach and focus on collective development will give Acosta a healthier space to develop as a potential world champion, away from the ego clashes and internal rivalries that have been heating up since before the season really began. Motogp returns to the Losail International Circuit in Qatar, and the competition is heating up. This race is not only a battle for points, but also a testing ground for the main riders, especially Francesco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, who are now in the spotlight of the public and observers. Historically, the Losail circuit is known as one of the friendlier tracks for Ducati bikes. With long straights that allow for maximum speed and a layout that allows for hard braking and fast acceleration, Bagnaia is expected to dominate. The two-time world champion is slowly but surely showing signs of revival after an up-and-down start to the season. The pendulum of momentum seems to be swinging in his favor, and Qatar is a golden opportunity to assert his title defense ambitions. Behind the spotlight on Bagnaia, however, there is one big name that cannot be ignored: Marc Marquez. Although he has yet to fully adjust to his new bike this season, Marquez is still Marquez, a rider known for never giving up and always giving his all, especially under pressure. His crash at Kota was a sour note that he was keen to wipe away. In fact, the incident became a whip that fired his spirit, and the Qatar race is seen as the perfect stage to make amends and silence the doubters. Marquez's motivation to prove himself back at the top is high. With an ever-improving bike and years of experience at the highest level, he could be the dark horse to break Ducati's dominance. And if there is one thing the MotoGP world has learned so far, it is never to underestimate Marc Marquez when he is hurting, physically or emotionally. Aside from the high drama between Ducati and KTM, other teams on the MotoGP grid are starting to show their direction, albeit more quietly and out of the spotlight. Yamaha, unfortunately, are back in the spotlight. Former world champion Fabio Quartararo has failed to finish in 2 of the first 5 rounds of the season, adding to concerns about the YZR M1's performance, which has not improved. This situation has prompted Yamaha management to consider major changes behind the scenes, including the possibility of bringing in a new figure with a fresh and bold technical approach. On the other hand, Aprilia is showing promising signs of revival. Maverick Vinales put in a solid performance to take his 3rd podium of the season at Kota, reinforcing the claim that the 2025 RSGP bike is now more mature, more stable and a force to be reckoned with. Aleix Espargaro has also been a consistent performer, failing to reach the podium but maintaining a competitive position in each race. With performances like this, Aprilia has the potential to be a surprising dark horse in the upcoming Qatar series. Is Pedro Acosta just talking controversy, or does he really see something others don't? Write your opinion.